welcome to all to this space of She 100 Global Networking, a global network for women and men, he for she and she for he. In this space that we have created in this platform, we aim to learn, to exchange, and connect. Why we do that? Because more than ever, the capacity from the civil society to boost new resources and a new wave of motivation, of inspiration, is absolutely key to make the necessary changes. For that, we have this space of book authors, and we have the privilege, the honor, and the joy to have among our network authors of books. This today, we have a Tanya Mattox, our dear Tanya Mattox, that have written this beautiful, charming, I would say, book of what is youth empowerment. The name is Young Adult 101, a resource to navigate the journey into adulthood. A beautiful book that aims to empower their sons and daughters, but at the same time, it helps the society as a whole. And that is the very essence of what we do with G100 Network, is our group. We empower each other, but at the same time, every time that we have the opportunity, we try to influence the rest of the world. And that's why we go live. If we were able to influence one person, 2 or 1 million, is the same for us. They say I have made a small research about what is the youth population. For United Nations, the age for consider young people is between 15 to 24 years. It's important that we focus on that because that is the age where we are going to focus on this debate today. It represents now a population of 1.2 billion people and account for 16% of the global population. It's expected that for 2030, they make up to 7%. That means 1.3 billion. So, if we have enough reasons to talk about youth empowerment, there is also a quantity reason to do that, as we have a very important part of the population that enter on that category of young people. Tanya, the floor is yours. Just to say, Tanya is married, mother of 2 adult daughters and 1 granddaughter and 1 grandson, author, podcast, host of Wisdom Wednesday podcast, where we give wisdom nuggets for everyday living. And that's also what you do with your book. Founder, CEO of Seekers Consulting Group, New Direction Coaching, certified coach for LLC, and awesome publishing company. And I have to say it first, but I leave it just to be humble to the last part. She's She 100 Honest and Wisdom Chair. And this is a joint effort with the other wing, Global Networking and Honest and Wisdom, and we did that many times because we wanted to bring with honest and wisdom what is a big global networking of women and men. Welcome all. Tanya, how are you?
I am well, Mar. Thank you so much. And it is an honor and a privilege and pleasure to be here on the global networking stage. I am very excited to talk about my book, Young Adult 101. This book was inspired by my own journey with my children, beginning with our eldest son. We had driven him to university, and we were pulling away from the curb, and I began to sob. I said, "Oh, have we taught him enough?" And I began to sob, and I just hoped that he had the resources and the information he needed to be successful there. Well, with his first trip home, I realized I had missed a few things. As adults, we do things on automatic. Or grown-ups, we're in the routine of life, and we sometimes miss giving some of the information to our children because we're used to doing it by automatic mode. So that's what inspired me to write this book. And I began to take notes throughout the years. And they began to grow, and I shared the information with the other children because I have four, and it began to evolve. And from that point, in different life circumstances, inserting the pandemic we have been involved in the beginning of that, it demanded that we make some changes. And I updated the book and added information that would address those needs as well. My background also in etiquette consulting pointed that there were some things that maybe the young people weren't getting on that scale as well. And that's some information that helps them interact with the rest of civil society in a more fluid manner and to have an opportunity to communicate. I did not want the young people, as I was writing and thinking about my children, I didn't want them to feel stuck. During that time, there are a lot of influences and they are growing and learning, and they may change their mind several times, a whole lot, and it's okay. And to make sure they're supported and guided in a way that brings success to them and smooth transition. That was my goal for writing this book. And it's been quite fascinating to see the impact on my own children. I've shared it with others, and to witness the impact it's had there has been very fulfilling. And I am glad to have an opportunity to have a conversation about this with other mothers, other women, other of you who have young people in your life, because we all do. And I'm really looking for this to be a benefit to many. And I appreciate being able to share this with all of you.
We really appreciate you, Tanya, and appreciate all your endeavors. Also, it's a way to inspire other women, other mothers to do the same, to transmit their message. And if we could help other mothers, it's also so great. Also, you inspire me to think that maybe next event about this book, we could do it with a young adult, a real young adult that give us their feedback about the group. Don't you think so? What do you think the other ones, that they are mothers or not mothers? It's the same. What do you think about that?
Yes, yes.
Mary?
You know, that as you said that, I thought that would be a brilliant idea, because, you know, we think what they need, but sometimes to hear from them, actually, I need to know about this. I need to know how to balance my checkbook, if there's such a thing anymore, how to, how to do the things that's going to be successful as a young adult. I love that. I love it, Mara.
Thank you. Bridget. Bridget is also, sorry, Bridget, I would like to introduce Bridget before she start. Thank you for being here. Bridget is She100 Global Networking National Chair of US, is a founder of Childhood and CEO of Childhood Cancer Charity, grief transformational coach, and book author of Seeking Peace. She is also an author. She's also our dearest collaborator on these spaces for literature. So Bridget, thank you so much. Seeking Peace, you have it over there. Please, if you could show your book as well, that is behind you. Seeking Peace is also a wonderful tool for empowerment. Welcome, Bridget.
Thank you, Mar. Thank you, and thank you all. That's lovely to be with you here today. Thank you. Yes, this is Seeking Peace. And this one is designed for adults and children when we are going through changes and adversities and having a tough times. Because Tanya's book beautifully provide the fundamental on living life days to days. But sometimes we know that on the day to day life happens, and in that scenario we can use Seeking Peace as well as this other one here, the gratitude book, for actually designed for children and adults. But I love your book, Tanya, and I love how it gives us understanding on how life moves and changes over time with this, and I love how you put it in in different chapters that's very easy to follow. And I have questions about chapter one here, the setup. I love how you put down, you put in here how to consider everything and to look at the people around our life really is what seemingly you're saying in here. Consider your environment is your friend. And in here, you says that no person is your friend who demands your silence or denies your right to grow. And I love for you to help our young audience and our audience because sometimes that is something that not only a young adult facing, but also adult in general or anyone in general. How do we do that? We understand it might not be people that it's not good for us if they demand our silence and or hamper our growth. How do we do that? Particularly like if we are in college, for instance, I remember when I was in dormitory, and then people surround us different. And how do we not be afraid? How we don't feel isolated and accidentally uh, kind of cause ourselves to be estranged in such a group environment?
That is an awesome question, Bridget, and really something to consider. What I think really would help is to begin each day going over your affirmation, and not so much affirmation. We need to write down sometimes and remind of ourselves of who we are and what we possess. Create for yourself. This is me. This is Bridget Tan. I know this. I speak well. I understand well. I have good communication, and I will have a successful day. And to give yourself that reinforcement at the top of each day will empower you internally. And in dealing with people who are demanding that you are silent and you don't have anything to say, it might be a little scary, but you have to draw a line and speak up and make yourself heard. No, I don't feel that way, or I have this perspective. And sometimes just the speaking up will get that attention because they're not expecting that because you've been so quiet. And just being bold and breaking through. And I know it's frightening, but reminding yourself every day of what you have, what you possess, and what it is you have to offer the world will empower you over time and give you that courage you need.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Tanya, for that wonderful words, especially for crisis times. We need to make sure that the people don't lose their critical thinking and they
Yes.
have the capacity to say no, not for that, especially for social media that could be so beneficial for young and also so harmful for their critical thinking, especially on the impact on their critical thinking. Before we go to Sabrina, that we are keen to know her insights on this. I would like to say hello to Anita Caprice, that she cannot be in all the events with us.
Yes.
That's the truth. If not, she will be with us.
Yeah.
And she say, I still say this book needs to be an academic bookshelf. Yes, they're going to be one. They're going to be one, of course. Sabrina, please, go ahead.
I want to piggyback on Dr. Caprice. I actually just told Tanya this before we started. This book definitely needs to be in high schools. It needs to be a part of the academic. I was so amazed. I love the order of the book. She started from the beginning. She gave us a story, and everything was like I'm an author as well, so I know how important it is to line everything up in order. For the readers. Chapter 3 and chapter 4 resonate with me so well regarding, I think it was life skills and things that you should know. Everything was just the order that she gave everything and the personal details. I just love. She broke everything down. And even though my children are adults, they're past the college and the high school, I'm raising a grandchild too. I'm sister raising a grandchild. And she said something early in the call about when she thought, when she was raising her children, she might have missed something, right? And I often said that because I have a special needs son, and I have a son that's older, but he's not special needs. And while I was caring for my younger one, I always said, like, I think I missed a couple things, I think I missed something because I'm so focused on his medical and going to the doctors and caring for him and being his caregiver still as an adult. I missed something with the other one. So I thank you for that, because, that's an authentic moment. We moms, we don't want to say we did anything wrong. It's just it's not a wrong. It's just that when you know better, right?
Right.
And I love how she broke everything down to calling your parents, letting people know where you're at when you're in college. That is important, especially nowadays with everything going on in the world. It's important. I tell my son now, he's 28. I don't need to know exactly everything you're doing, but if you're going somewhere, just kind of let someone know where you are, just in case of an emergency. These days and times, that's really, really important. But I love the way she broke everything down as far as finances. That's important. And on a personal note, you gave me some nuggets as well. We're all out here trying to do things better. I just loved how she put everything in order. Her authenticity, is very, you could tell that it came from a place of love and concern, from one mother to a millions of mothers. So I thank you. It was a good read. It's definitely, we just talked about this. This definitely needs to be in the school system. Definitely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Alessa, what do you think about that? On the academic shelf, the Tanya Mattox books?
Yes, definitely. Because, some of the backgrounds that we come from, we didn't have someone to, share those things with us because they didn't even know. So even the fear was taken away. And while I was reading the book, in chapter 3, it stuck out on me, the life skills and common courtesies and all of these different things, and so detailed, and everything I thought of, she brought it up. And I was just like, I wish I had this when I was getting ready to go to college, preparing myself as a young adult. And because some of the older ones that, maybe didn't go to college, my mother didn't go to college, and my father had already passed away. And, I had to, I had the fear of not knowing. This takes so much away from that. It is so very, very powerful. It's a wonderful read. I couldn't put it down. I actually read it twice and went over it. And I have, grandchildren, 14 and 15 now. I have adult children. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this to them. They're always coming asking me questions. This is the book. I'm going to suggest it to my grandchildren. I'm going to suggest even my adult children, to read. It is an awesome, awesome read. It's so wonderful. And, chapter 3 was a favorite part of my book. But also I want to ask you, Tanya, do you see any more in the future? There's other avenues.
Actually, I do, because I didn't know if the material was too much for middle school and high school students, because the first book I began with graduating from college, from high school. Prom and graduation was a recent event, and then moving on into it. But I think that there is a segment that I need to go back and capture. So I'm looking to do middle school material that gears more toward them, especially with the social media being the norm and the standard and all they know. That's what they're growing up with. For them to understand that their image and what they're portrayed there is very important, and it will impact their lives. And also realizing that everything they see on social media isn't necessarily the truth.
Right. Is it available for an ebook? We are.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Awesome.
One question I have to you, Tanya, and for the rest, please. because you are all American or living in US. So for me, it's more this aspect from Europe, the vision from Europe, the view from Europe on this in this issue. And your book, it's very American. You see,
Yes,
it's very American,
it
and
is.
and I welcome, of course, I welcome that idea. But I think it would be great if we take just a couple of minutes of this different cultural difference,
Yes.
because we do not give that importance in terms of what is a book, what is a handbook
Mhm.
for young adults on what is financial management.
Mm.
In US is particularly important because it's a very
Mhm.
market.
Yes.
So we don't do that, and we are more focused on what is more the well-being and what is the cohabitat
Oh.
on the university and on the rest, and your friendship, and what is social media and the impact of internet and
Mhm.
television and cinema. So on friends, we are focused more on that, on relations. So I would very much welcome your insights on that, if you think it's a point to address. Tanya.
Yes, I do. And I'm really glad to hear that perspective. I was concerned about that, about the internationally and what's going on in Europe, and if that would resonate and if things would really make sense to you as you read some of the material. And I like, if I heard you correctly, you said you focus more on relationships and interaction. That is very important. And that again speaks to what I consider the etiquette portion, which has to do with the interactions between different people. And the thinking being that I'm not meaning you any harm or making sure that you're considering your actions and your words and your activities and in your dealings with other people. That is something that really does need to be addressed because on this side of the ocean or this side of the world, I think a lot of this civil behavior has taken a back seat. So often in the past, you would hear the term civil society. And I think a lot of that is what is focused on there in Europe, if I'm hearing you correctly. And that's good. And I know you call it more ethical manners, but that's something that is important. And that does impact the society, how we are relating with one another. And so many things, communication is a real huge part of that. And one of my favorite books are that I read as an adult and a newlywed. And I'm mentioning that because that's when I encountered the book, and that's Communication, the Key to Your Marriage. But the important part of that book had to do with communication. There are 6 messages that occur in communication. There's what you meant to say, what you actually said, what the other person heard, and what they thought they had heard, what they processed, and then what they feel about what you said, and then what you feel about their response to what you said. So you have all these levels of communication, and it is important that we work through things sometimes to understand how it is we're impacting the ideas and the soul of another person when we're having interactions with them. Is very important, and I think it would keep a lot of conflict down. And the beginning of conflict resolution, I think, is good communication.
Absolutely. Bridget, in terms of cultural difference, of youth empowerment, you came from a different nationality, even if you are totally inserted on American society. And maybe resonates more with you than the rest, what I say. No?
Yeah, I would say it is. There is a lot of difference, and I grew up in Indonesia until I completed high school before I came to the United States, and I love how some of the differences in here and at the same time, it is something, you know, for me, growing up most of my life, and other word, my young adult between the age of 18 and forward, it is in the United States. I actually feel that this book, it's very useful for people who grew up in the United States. But even more, I mean, Dr. Anita says it should be in school. I say this is, should be in every place who that train the international, I think they call it international preparations program,
Okay.
because it's even more different. So for instance, back in Indonesia, you stay with your family, you don't go out on your own, and all these things, and the system's different, the economy, and so on and so forth. Then you come to the United States, not only you just go into a different country, fly and however around the world, you're like, holy moly, what is all this thing? What's all this crazy party? So that is just, I would say that this is something definitely you, and I don't know, maybe somehow we bring it into the international office of every college in there, because I was reading this, I said, oh my goodness, I wish I have this back in the day. I would be so confused. And so I do want to ask though, because you have a wonderful, amazing chapters that I say it's good for adult and young adult and children because they become adult on economy. But
Yeah.
what would be, if you give one advice? If there's one thing that a young adult would to remember on finance, economy, what would your advice?
That would be live within your means. I know you want more,
Yep.
but wait until you're prepared to handle more. And I know it's difficult for a lot of young people to wait. Oh my gosh, I grew up with in my home. It's like there, you did certain things at certain times. No, you cannot do that because you're not of the age to do that yet, or not of the age to go there yet. And doing that with my children, they just really balked and they really didn't understand. And now that they're parents, they say, "Oh, I get it." And they're beginning to repeat things. And I tease my mother all the time, and I'll do something and say, I'm turning into my mother. But that's not a bad thing. That means some wisdom has occurred. So that would be the one thing that I would tell a young adult. You'll get there. You don't have to rush.
Tanya, you know that we admire your book. We admire you. You are inspirational in any field when we invited to this event. But now let's think of this, Alessa or Sabrina or Dr. Mary. Is this a conservative book or is a modern book? What do you think? What do you state here? Is modern? It pushed to modernity, or it go back to values, to family? Well, what do you think about that? I have my own idea about that. Alessa,
I think that it is both, really, more modern and everyday, and she even touched on, and I wanted to say this, what even inspired you to give the online slang dictionary? Even at the bottom, it was just like, oh wow, this is awesome. And I believe that, I mean, it's modern every day, and then it's all around. Is it's not just direct specific. Everything you would think of, it's in that book. Everything that you come across, even just the common courtesy, all of it. It's just very, I mean, very, very detailed. Very
Sabrina.
detailed.
Thank you, Alessa. Sabrina?
I agree. I think it's a little bit of a balance of both. I just love the way you broke everything down in order. It's very relatable. And I have a question for you. You ever think about a workbook to go with this? When I'm reading this, when I read the book, I can visualize like a workbook as well. Just not put out there in the atmosphere. Just put out there.
Thank you.
I said you can have a workbook with this. This could be really, really good. But no, I think it's actually a little bit of a balance of both. It's a great tool. I enjoyed it. I think it was Dr. Bridget Olis. I read it twice myself. And I want to share it. And I want to share with others. I'm definitely going to promote this book. It's really needed. I have a lot of girlfriends and family friends that are in high school and college. They need this book, because as you admitted, and I admitted also, sometimes we miss things, as parents, we do the best we can, but sometimes we miss things. And this is a great tool, but I think it's a little bit of both, a balance of both.
Yes.
Mary, thank you. Mary? I think we are losing. Mary.
I have a question.
Mary.
Oh, there she is.
Please, Mary, say it again. You have problems with your audio, please. Let's wait for Mary.
Okay, I was just thinking, what about mentoring? The young people once they read the book, to come together with other where they can, hear their other people. That having a club for the young people.
Yes. The mentoring. That sounds good.
Yeah.
And Mara, I was interested in that perspective that you had.
That's so important. Peer-to-peer mentoring.
Okay.
Our older generation can't relate to the young.
We have problems with the audio of Mary. Please let's wait. Mary, please. I will remove you, and you came back. Let's see if your audio improves a bit. Yes, Tanya, please.
Yes, I wanted to hear from you what your perspective was.
Sorry, please, Tanya. Please.
I wanted to hear your perspective.
My perspective on the point.
Yeah, you said you had your own.
My own idea of Well, my idea is that I think that in Europe, especially in Spain, that is quite traditional. We give a very importance and very relevant. It's very relevant for us what is family.
Okay.
And so this idea to study abroad, it's there. They do it, but it's not the most important aspects. Most of the time, they go and back. Okay. So it's more aligned with the idea of Bridget that is from Indonesia in that case, and I think Latin America is more or less the same. So it's quite different from the Anglo-Saxon societies and communities. So the capacity and the need to empower young adults for an Anglo-Saxon society is different from the others. Yeah. So the tips that you give, they're very important, but also important for the adults. When I read the financial aspect, I will follow. I will read it again to see if I do it better with my house. But we do it. But in general, there is still this idea that the family is there, is in charge. So Bridget said, do like this. She knows that is key, and that is really different from US. I think that after the pandemics. There was like a rebirth of what is family, what is values. It's not just to stay home. It's just to stay and gather with your family. I don't know if that is the perception from you on that.
Yeah. That's interesting because with the pandemic, the staying with the family, well, all my kids are out of the house. So if I kind of had a disconnect there, it was just so uncertain what was going on out there in society. And I had a couple of them who were free to go out, and they didn't want to feel encumbered by staying home. And it's like, well, you can't come here and visit mom and dad if you've been out there around other people. You don't know what the other people have and what they've been exposed to. So that was a little strange, but they respected that. They still came to see mom and dad. And I love our relationship, and I'm thankful for what we've been able to build in them, and that they do still have that connection to home, even though they're all living on their own.
Thank you, Tanya. Let's welcome Mary, Mary again. And if whenever you have time, you will. I think if we focus on what is education on values.
Yes.
And we say no, it's because of the pandemics, but it's so sad that we need crisis to reshape values,
Yes.
to rebirth the values. They are there. They have to be there. They have to be the center, that center stage. No, so let's talk about this aligned with education on values. And I think, Mary, please.
Sorry, I had a bad connection. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
I just admire you, how you had the, especially in chapter 3, how you had the wherewithal to talk about life. Important, a lot of times we think we live, kids learn by example. Their parents, they say, oh, mom did this, mom went to school, mom, but a lot of times they have to actually see for themselves and to actually be taught that.
Yes.
Found on that how you saw your oldest off, you were saying you were in tears. You feel that they didn't see it by example, or you had to get more value added to them, or what? Share that thoughts on that.
I did not think necessarily that they picked up by seeing the example before them. I did not think that. I kept saying you throw as much of the information at them, and you pray that most of it sticks. So I don't know if it was a lot of overload, and if mom was just too much. And I often say, thank God for your dad who brought the balance, because I was just such a taskmaster, because I was raised in a pretty authoritative home. But one thing that showed me was that, because I had a younger brother, and there were things that he didn't know. And I realized that's because he wasn't taught. I was older. There were things I had to know. Dad didn't teach him those things. So that kind of alerted me to that fact. And I had to go back and think, maybe I missed something. Let me make sure they have everything that they need.
And is it true that boys are a little different than girls? They think different. They have, because of a cultural thing. It is true with girls versus the boys.
Yes, I think so. And I was determined to make sure that the boys knew how to cook. I did not want them getting with some young woman that I did not particularly care for just because she could cook. No, you know how to cook. You don't have to depend on someone else to get a meal. And then my husband taught the girls how the same thing he taught the boys. So he showed my daughter how to build her computer. So when she went off to college, she did a little extra things there at college, helping different dorm mates fix their computers if they went down. So we tried to give that kind of balance, but it wasn't until they had returned from a break that I noticed that there were things that needed to be imparted, and then learned from their conversations with us of the kids that they encountered there who didn't know things that they did, like how to do laundry. Not everyone gets the same information.
True and powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
But how is the reception from the young adults? They are happy with your comments. You became a very angry mom trying to put that order in their life. It's good. They accept it. They are humble. They are weak, and they don't respond to you. I think that I will accept your answers, but next event I need testimonies from people here.
Yes.
Really, your response that saying yes or no. So,
Right.
so
Well,
I will
I'll be
accept your response. So only for today.
yes. Well, I'll be very transparent. When I first began writing my notes, Young Adult 101, there were paper, and I had made a copy for each one of the kids. None of them read it. None of them read it. Then the youngest, he was very excited after the book was created, and he gave it to his friend's daughter who had just graduated from high school. Said, "You need this. Read this book." And then that's been the most feedback that I have gotten. I want to hear more from young people who have read it. One in particular is a young man who was actually in not foster care, but he had a guardian. And as soon as he had his 18th birthday, he was told, well, it was before his 18th birthday, he was told he had to leave. This happens in the States, Mar, where you have children who are being raised in, it's not, I guess you could say it's foster care, where they're living with an adult and they get paid to take care of that child. And some people don't have good ethics and don't have loving hearts, and they put the children out as soon as they're not getting a check anymore. And that breaks my heart. And I would like to get this book in their hands to give them something to go by. And I'm waiting to ask if he's willing to share what his experience was and if it's been beneficial for him.
Thank you, Tanya. Sabrina, I think I've forgotten to introduce you, isn't it? No, Sabrina, I haven't.
Okay, yeah.
Sabrina, yeah, sorry for that. Sabrina is mother of 2 adult sons and Gigi to 1 grandson. 15 best-selling author, speaker, and passionate autism and special education advocate who empowers parents and caregivers to become their child's best advocate. And she's also our beloved member of G100 Network, Honest and Wisdom from Virginia and Chair. You are Honest and Wisdom is a majority. You see, Bridget, we are alone. Sabrina, please go ahead.
You know, in regards to, I can't say it enough. In regards to the book, for me, I think that it's just, I think that she's coming from a place, like I said before, being a passionate mom. And I look at this book like this is a tool. Like her, I said, I'm going to give this book to as many young people as I can. I'm going to make sure that this is in the hands of many, many young people. One thing I did like about this book, I like the tips. I enjoyed the tips. They were like perfect. Like right at the end of the chapter, she has a tip. And then there's a couple of tips I actually wrote down myself. Like, I can use them in my life, my life, as you said as well. When it came down to the financial chapter, I'm like, okay, making sure that I'm where I'm supposed to be. It's not just for young adults. It's just a reminder of where you are, what you should be doing in life in general. And like I said, I see a workbook coming. I definitely see a workbook coming, but I love the order. I love the fact that you broke everything down and you were so authentic in the chapters. Chapter 3 and chapter 4 were the best for me. They were perfect for me because I actually read those a couple of times. They kind of resonate with me the most. Not that the whole book doesn't, but just the most, because I think those are crucial times for me that I think that I miss with my son. I wish I can go back. You know, you can't go back. You know, when you know better, you do better. You can just,
Right.
I'm at a place now, he's 28. But those are the things I'm like, oh, I never told him any of that stuff. Like, wait a minute, I think I dropped the ball on some of these things because I said before I was, you know, raising a child of my own that had medical issues. And you know, you think, okay, well, you know, they'll get it in school. Maybe grandma will teach them, but you know, grandma could only teach you what grandma knows.
Right.
And my mom, most of the stuff that's in all their chapters, I didn't get taught at all. She taught me how to cook. She didn't go to college. So she taught me how to cook. She taught me how to respect my elders. She gave me the stuff that made the foundation of me being a compassionate, respectable individual. But all these things, these, you know, banking, she did teach me these. I learned a little bit in school, and what I didn't learn in school, I kind of figured it out. You know, maybe that's good and maybe it's kind of bad because I probably didn't do it right. But when you get older, you just learn things on your own. But overall, I think it's a wonderful book and a great tool. Great tool.
Thank you, Sabrina. I would like to invite you to read the chapter 1 when it says, because I love that this part, so I need to read it. They say, look at your life as a corporation. God, if you have a faith-based belief system, we have religion on there. You know, we are going to analyze the book from a religious perspective.
Yes.
If the chief executive officer, the CEO, you are the chief operating officer, COO, and the chief financial officer, CFO. I think if I translate it to a Spanish society or Latin American society, I think that they are the CEO, the COO, and the chief financial officer are the family and the parents. I think that is different cultures. Who lead you to think of this framework of CEOs and guided by God? What lead you to get to this conclusion?
Well, I was inspired. I think it was a divine inspiration to look at that. You know, who are we and what is it that we do? And I thought that would be the best way to break it down so that they would know, take ownership of their lives. That would give it a good framework to begin to take ownership of their lives and how they're operating.
Very difficult. I don't want to continue making, but I'm so fascinated that please forgive me for this. No, but I think when I was reading, I think we are empowering. You are giving guidelines, but what about challenge like unemployment? That it doesn't depend on them. It's not about empower them. It's not about their motivation. It's just that they cannot get one because there is, for example, in here in Spain, there is quite an important level of unemployment for the young, and that it's a burden that is totally out for them from their responsibility. You know, Bridget, maybe you would like to say anything related.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say unemployment, or sometimes I actually was being the founder of the International Childhood Cancer Charity and a grief specialist. I love to ask Tanya, what would your advice when, for instance, children who grow up with cancer, or in this case, as Mar said, something like unemployment, where we try to do things but we're not even able to have access to school, or not to not able to access employment.
Those are so very important, and that really speaks to me, and because I believe in options. And I'd like to encourage them to really think about what they have to offer. I think about the creativity that many have, Even the children who have cancer and coming out, I could see immediately if they're open to writing their experience, they have an opportunity there for them to become authors. Write your experience, what you went through as a child. How did that impact you? What did that do to your thinking? What does that do? Um, well, how you feel other people perceive you, and the same with the children face or the youth facing the unemployment. I'd like for them to maybe tap into what their creative side is. Are they artistic? Um, Sabrina mentioned compassionate and learning that from a grandmother and being able to take that gift of what they have innately as compassionate and see how they can use that to impact the elders around them who might need help. Do you need help around the home? Do you need help getting access to things? I'm not sure what the terrain is like there in Spain and the access of being able to market and all that. That would be a way to create a space, create a job for themselves of helping the elderly get the items they need from the store. They need something, they need a go between, maybe if there's not another child or older child who's available to the elder to assist them. That would be an opportunity for a young person to create a job for themselves. Again, I believe in options and tapping into yourself. As my sister Anita says, tap into you. See what's in there and what you can use that could give you an income and provide a path to be able to sustain yourself.
Service to the community.
Yes.
One of the keys to empower and to develop skills. So there is an employment fine, but you could do service to the community and learn by yourself. What is that? No, intergenerational. You talk about elderly. So intergenerational connection is so important to empower societies. Because for me it's an ambitious goal. All of this is an ambitious goal. It's also societies. Alisa, please, before you make your comments, Alisa is founder and CEO Good NU Ministries, and please, if I think it's a great opportunity also to know more about you. So before your comment, please, if you introduce a little, tell us more about yourself. Do forgive me, I do it. I just now I am doing it. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, the God in You Ministries was founded. I'm the CEO and the founder. God had inspired me about what He has instilled in us, His power that He gave us, Holy Spirit. We can speak with Him, talk with Him, pray with Him. He is always with us. He died on the cross for all of us and for everything. It didn't stop there. He even gave us a comforter. So He inspired me with the God in You Ministries to just empower and encourage those that are that have a relationship with Him, those that don't have a relationship with Him, empowering women and empowerment. And the Lord instilled this in me back in 2017. It was launched with the empowerment, women's empowerment in Louisiana. And that in itself was so inspirational to me to be able to help the young as well as the older women, but not only that, families, and empowering them. And I come from the the job. I had jobs. I'm retired now. I worked for so many years in healthcare, over 25, 30 years in healthcare. seeing the good, the bad, the ugly, the different things, and out in the environment, being in a church, non-denominational, and I'm, in my children and so many different things and expiring. I don't want to talk much about me, but it's more about Tanya. But I do want to thank you for this book, because it not only, it even touches on tithing, and that was so very, very important, very, very inspiring to me, because I'm like, I'm constantly telling my children about tithe, understanding what tithe is and what the benefits of tithing in the financial realm, not only just in the social, in everyday life, but also the spiritual part of it. You empower yourself within before you empower yourself out. You have to know that, God is always with you no matter what it is. And I know you were inspired by all this. This was God inspired. I believe that. I really believe that. And I believe and I wanted to share this story with you. Um, my 22-year-old granddaughter, she called me and she asked me, she said, Grandma, she said, when you helped me open up my bank account, they sent me a letter and said I was overdrawn. And so, what do I do? How do I know I'm not, so what do I do? What is the process that I need to go to try to find out what happened? I said, well, do you balance your bank account, at least every month, every 2 weeks, however you wanted it? She says, no. So I'm like, when I was reading this book in the chapter about the finances, I was just like, overdraft and how to balance your books. So I had to share that with her. And this is a tool that I called her and I said, I've got something for you that's going to really help you in a lot of areas where you are right now. So I really believe that, all of it is very, very powerful and is very empowering. And it was just like a light even coming on, like, oh my, she thought of every little detail. And that was really, really a blessing. It was really a blessing to me. So thank you so much for your words and everything that you did to try detail. And you went by, I mean, every detail. And I'm just excited. I've read it 3, 4 times. I'm getting ready to read it again and go over it. Because I
Thank you.
actually, through some fostering, um, we didn't allow our children to go in there. We kept them ourselves. And so, but knowing that, it's not about that, it's about raising them and them being safe, a safe place,
Yes.
and having that safe in the avenue and being able to be teachable, that is a big thing with fostering as well. So kudos to even thinking about that. That is definitely um, my heartbeat.
Thank you, Alisa, for sharing that. Mary Segart, is author, leadership coach, podcast host. Mary, could you like also to tell us more about your work, what you do, and if it resonates with you, this book and your work?
Sure. Thank you so much. First of all, Tanya, I commend you for definitely great work. By, by so neat. Uh, not only for the young people, but for adults too. But I am the CEO, founder of Secret Consulting Group. I live to the fullest potential, and that's so important. Even our young people who are future leaders don't see all the potential that book confidence can get inner strength, I call it, where they go beyond all things. I call things strength.
We continue having problems with your audio, Mary. Um, so we could hear more or less. Tanya?
Yes.
Tanya, a resource to navigate the journey into adulthood.
Yes.
But this is also a resource to navigate for adults, to navigate with their education to their kids. So you are bringing that for adults and for young adults. So that is was so precious. This that we do that with the capacity to change societies came from that, from this kind of efforts that we all do to put also what means a daily basis. Something that maybe someone would say, I need a handbook for that. Well, yes, you need it. And in crisis times, you need it. Of course, you need it to be accurate, to be assertive on what you are giving to their kids.
Yes.
So my before we go, I would like to hear last 1-2 minutes of your conclusions, and I would like to invite you all, if you agree, of course, and to be together again. Shortly, we are going to tell you the date and that we are going to meet again, and to bring a young adult that give us a feedback. And you promise that you will find one that would be if they have to say something negative, it's open, no or not.
Oh, no, that's good. It helps me grow.
Okay, you are growth enough to accept negative feedback. Oh, that's good. That's good. Please, ladies, we do just run 1 minute, and unfortunately we need to go.
Yeah.
Sabrina, please.
Okay. So we're just doing final words.
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, this has been great, ladies. I thank you. I so enjoyed this, just like I enjoyed the book. My final words is to for everyone listening and people catch the replay. Definitely get this book. This is has been an inspiration to me. I know it will be an inspiration to you all. And who knows, maybe there'll be a workbook in the future or any other book that's adjacent to this book. I really, Tanya, thank you so much. This has been such a great hour to talking to you ladies all, and thank you for pouring out your heart, your resources, your personal journey, as a mom, as a parent, and sharing all these tools and great tips. I really applaud you. This is actually amazing, and I look forward to one day that you sharing that it's in some school system, because it definitely needs to be there.
Thank you so much, Sabrina, and also thank you for the joy. It's something that we give value to that, because in challenging times we need to put that enthusiasm that passion to make the necessary changes. Alessa, please.
Thank you so much for bringing this out and empowering and inspiring the youth as well as the adult. It is so very, very such a blessing to me, and I pray that it will be all over the world. I proclaim it, and I just believe it's going to be all over, national, internationally, inspiring everyone, every walk of life, even the older, the older adults, and the ones that didn't learn any of this, weren't taught this, and in the school system, not just the school systems, but just everyday life. 94-year-old mother, I would have given her this book. She loves to read. She would love this, so I'm just so inspired. And thank you so much for inviting me on the panel. It's just such an awesome blessing. Tanya, you're so beautiful and wonderful, and to share and pour out your life to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alessa. Mary, let's see if your audio is good now. Try to be short to make sure we could hear you correctly.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly now? I hope.
Yes.
Again, Tanya, thank you so much. And our young people are our future leaders. So we're impacting and empowering them to be the best person they could be and who they were created to be. I gave my Hell Handbook to my granddaughter. She loves it. So I'm ebook. But this needs to be in every young person's hand as well as adults, because somewhere along the line, I might have missed some of these valuable points that will help us greater and better. Thank you again, Tanya, for pouring your heart out into this. I appreciate it. I enjoyed this last hour. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Before we go, and I leave you the last remarks to you, Tanya, and we leave, just to say thank you so much to print with the essence of what is She 100 Network, a global networking where we are aiming to learn from each other, where we wanted to leave a footprint in our societies for 1, for 2, for 1 million, doesn't matter. We try to be there to make of individual action not a selfish attitude, but that powerful attitude that could change a small part, and then we could really get into stability. It's our responsibility. Future generations are the one who need to lead, and they're quite passive now and quite in shock, maybe because of what's happening. So it's so important what you are doing it. So please continue and make a second one. We need a second one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to all. Tanya, please.
Yes. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you, Mar, for moderating. Thank you, ladies, for participating. This was really special to me. This is a blessing, really surprising. I'm glad that the book has been beneficial to you, and I am inspired to do more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a great day.
You too.